I think the other thing with confirmation here that's important is part of the challenge that we have is that a lot of bad ideas about confirmation have crept in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Pope St. Pius X, my parish patron, who universally lowered the age for First Communion, because there was a time when you wouldn't receive communion until you had already been confirmed. And so he lowered the age for reception of First Communion to the age of reason, about 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
There was never the corresponding lowering of the age for confirmation. Although if you look in the Code of Canon Law, the Code of Canon Law says that the sacraments of initiation, if they are not to be celebrated all at once, then confirmation and confession and the Eucharist may be celebrated anytime after somebody has achieved the age of reason.
Right. So
and it
theoretically could happen at any point.
Yeah, and it suggests that confirmation for somebody who's being raised in the Catholic faith should not be delayed past their 16th birthday. So, it's not something to be delayed. It's something that could happen at the age of reason. So the Church envisions this already, right? What we end up with, though, is because we're waiting on the bishop to come to celebrate confirmation, because the bishop is required, there's also maybe a sense of confirmation as a sacrament of initiation. Well, now if First Communion is earlier, if we're doing First Communion when the child's about 8 years old, and confirmation is going to happen later when the bishop can come, then we start to think of confirmation in the context of it's a sacrament of initiation. The Church also speaks about confirmation as a sacrament of maturity. So we start to think, well, maybe that means that it's a sacrament that requires maturity, right? And so we think, yeah, let's make sure that kids are in 8th grade before they receive the sacrament, because as everybody knows, there's nobody more mature than an 8th grader.
Yeah. Right? I mean, they are the example we should all look to.
Yeah.
In terms of how we should act maturely.
So what has ended up happening is that there are a lot of false ideas about what confirmation is that have crept in. So one is the sense that if it's a sacrament of initiation, that this fits into the coming of age category of different rituals that some cultures have or different things. So you'll often hear this said, this is your adult initiation into the life of the church. Now the church sees you as an adult, and there's nothing anywhere. There's nothing in the catechism. There's nothing in the Code of Canon Law that says that the sacrament of confirmation makes you an adult. There's nothing about that. In fact, the Code of Canon Law is very clear that what makes you as an adult in the eyes of the church is your age. It's your age. Just like in civil law. In civil law, you are an adult because of the age that the state sets, right?
Right.
It has nothing to do with whether or not you're confirmed according to the church's law.
Do you think that one of the reasons that's such a common phrase is because when people utter it, which I have, as a catechist, I've suggested that, that's it. You're an adult in the church. But whenever I've done that, it's because I'm trying to motivate my students to take the sacrament seriously, So do you think that it's more a pastoral thing, or do you think it's actually a confusion in what the sacrament is?
I think it's both a confusion of what the sacrament is and a confusion of what pastoral means. Right? Now, your attempt, what you're trying to do, get your students to take the sacrament seriously, that's good. Always do that. We should always be encouraging our kids.
Admit to everyone who listens that I do. I constantly try to get them to take it seriously.
We should be encouraging the kids to take the sacrament seriously. That's not up for debate. However, telling them the wrong thing as a motivator ends up backfiring and not really helping in the grand scheme. And so I think this is one of the challenges. Like, people think this means that, okay, now you're an adult in the church. Well, No, that's not what it means. It's not a sacrament of initiation in that sense. So a lot of people will compare. I mean, at least here in the Northeast, right, and other parts of the country where there might be more of a Jewish population, you'll hear it compared to the bar mitzvah or the bat mitzvah. That it's a coming of age thing. So once you are bar mitzvah, you're a man. You know, l'chaim, you're a mensch. Here we go. This is great. Well, that's not what confirmation is.
Right.
Confirmation is not becoming a man. It's not becoming a woman. Confirmation is about the Holy Spirit being given to you. And so where we can properly speak about the sacrament being a sacrament of maturity is on a spiritual level. Because the Holy Spirit is given, and the Holy Spirit is what matures us as a Christian. But it doesn't mean that we have achieved maturity.
Right.
The sacrament of confirmation is not given because we have achieved spiritual maturity, but so that we can achieve spiritual maturity.
Spiritual maturity. Huge difference.
Huge difference. Exactly.
Difference.
There is a huge difference here. And so we have this incorrect thinking that if confirmation, it makes me a man in the church, it makes me an adult in the church because I have achieved maturity. So you'll see a tendency in some places to keep pushing confirmation back further and further. And I always want to say that doesn't make any sense at all. Why push it back further and further when the sacrament gives us the sevenfold gifts of the Holy Spirit. And those gifts of the Holy Spirit are needed in order for us to achieve that spiritual maturity.
Right.
But instead, what we're going to do, and this is where the pastoral thing comes in for me, because a lot of people are under the impression that it's also about you having a better understanding of the faith. And I don't think that in order to fruitfully receive the sacrament of confirmation, you need to have a full understanding. You need to have an understanding.
Thanks for watching today's video. Let us know what you thought down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.